We are back with another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Am I shiny from sunscreen after surfing? Yes. Am I wearing essentially the same outfit from a previous episode? Yes. From yesterday's episode, I think. I wear this outfit often. Hashtag standardization. That's going to be an episode here coming up on standardizing all of the noise in life. And you know what? The shininess. Hashtag Tatiksha. We'll also cover that. Cultivating a comfort in discomfort. We'll cultivate that in a future episode as well. Today's episode, though, is explicitly on how we can help others. The Bhagavad Gita, the world's most famous poem, 700-verse dialogue between this warrior prince Arjuna and his charioteer, who's the symbolic embodiment of God, right in the middle of this battlefield. And Arjuna is breaking down. The whole thing could be read in 30 minutes. It's actually quite a brief read. It's only 700 verses. But the wisdom within it it's the reason, there are many reasons, but the wisdom within it and the conciseness of so many practical aspects of life in this 30-minute read is, well, it's the reason it's the most famous poem in the world. The Gita outlines the 5 ways in which we can help others, and it ranks them from least helpful to most helpful. The least helpful, but still a service you could do for others, is financial. See someone in need, give them $10, give them $100. Someone's house burns down, you help them financially. A more helpful way to provide service to someone whose house just burned down, who's going through that crisis or any crisis in their life. The other way is to give them your presence, to be with them, sit on the curb with them, to let them know that they're not alone, whatever they're going through. Helpful, but not as helpful as third on this list, which is to emotionally be there for them. Not just your physical presence, but your emotional presence. Your arm around them on that curb, and their life has just completely changed. That emotional presence, anyone would tell you, is more valuable than just the physical presence. But it's still only third. There is something more helpful that you can provide them. Financial, physical presence, emotional presence. You could also provide them wisdom. Wisdom that you may have cultivated through an experience you've gone through in your life. You cultivated perspective on that. You can offer an improved perspective. Maybe a friend you know is getting fired, going through a divorce, isn't getting the job that they really want, is going through some medical issue that they never saw coming, or they're running their company into the ground like I've done before, and waking up each day feeling like they're in a nightmare of their own making. Providing wisdom and insight, like many did for me, is helpful. It's very helpful. But that's not the most important, the most impactful way that we can help others. But the Gita is very clear. The number one way that we can help others, which is so counter to anything that I had really heard growing up here in Texas and now living in LA, I never heard this explicitly stated till I read the Gita, and that is the number one way we can help others. The most important work and service we do for others is the cultivation of character, cultivation of wisdom, the cultivation of the intellect that we do within ourselves. Ram Dass said it, the most important work we do for others is the work we do on ourselves, and that's right out of the Gita. He's famous for that phrase, and where it comes from is this dialogue between this warrior prince trying to do, the most famous warrior prince in the land, the most competent warrior, trying to do what's right for his community that is about to embark in this massive, massive battle and is having an absolute meltdown. Can't even stand up. He is so fraught with fear. And his charioteer tells him explicitly, the way that you can help others, the way that you can most impactfully help others, is the investment, the work you put in, the cultivation of your own character and intellect. It's the work that you do on yourself, to where you aren't just there for that neighbor, that friend, that family member that's going through a crisis in that moment, but where you're slightly agitated, you're slightly exhausted, where that type of assistance is unsustainable for you. Anyone that's volunteered in a food kitchen knows that you can go in with all the enthusiasm. You can go in with all of the energy that you can muster, only to see it wane within a few hours, maybe a few sessions, before you kind of wipe your hands clean of that work. The cultivation of wisdom is essentially the cultivation of an infinite bank balance for you to help others in the ways that matter most. Not in the unsustainable ways that exhaust you, stress you out over time, that agitate you, but you're willing to do it in that moment for a limited time in a limited way. It's the opposite. You have boundless enthusiasm, energy, and most important, clarity on knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it for that neighbor, that family member, that friend, where it's not advice haphazardly given. It's not financial assistance given reluctantly. It's the ability to know all of the different ways in which you can help, but also, most importantly, know the most impactful. The most important work we do for others is the work we do on ourselves. Thousands of years of meditation and reflection, contemplation and refinement has gone into this ranking of how we can help others. And though it might be counterintuitive, it might be counter to anything you've heard up until this point. That's why this information is not just information, it's transformation. It is counter to what we've been told. And yet, like any experiment, you can experiment with this to see if it actually pans out, if it actually is true. If the way that you can help your community best is the work that you do on yourself, the example you set for those around you, and the cultivation of wisdom within. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot, informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can, if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend, to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at the Daily Vedantic on Instagram or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.